Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, Mike Lindell sent me a note yesterday. He has a special for the 6-piece towel set, $25 when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com, use promo code Joey. You'll get the $25 offer on the 6-piece towel set, and I promise you, these will be the most comfortable, the most absorbent towels that you own. mypillow.com, use promo code Joey, get the 6-piece towel set for just $25. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Good morning and welcome into Sunrise, Carolina on this beautiful Tuesday. Grab a cup of coffee. Let's settle in for another busy news day. President Donald Trump picked up another former Democrat elected official. Yesterday, it was former Representative Tulsi Gabbard, the Democrat from Hawaii, as she formally endorsed Donald Trump, saying that his experience as our commander-in-chief makes him qualified for another term. Her endorsement, of course, following the endorsement of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over the weekend. One state's trying to get a jump on Kamala Harris's campaign promise of providing cash to first-time homebuyers. Except in this state, you can't be an American citizen to qualify. We have the details for you. A well-known Democrat strategist says current polls actually should give Harris backers reason to worry about her chances. Details on that in a moment as well. And meet the top 50 campaign donors pumping millions of dollars into the 2024 election, according to an analysis by the Washington Post.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but you know they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
So I mean what I say when I share with you that I know that President Trump understands the grave responsibility that a president and commander-in-chief bears for every single one of our lives. Whether you're a soldier, you're an airman, a Marine, sailor, or a coastie, he keeps us in his heart in the decisions that he makes. We saw this through his first term in the presidency, when he not only didn't start any new wars, he took action to de-escalate and prevent wars. He exercised the courage that we expect from our commander-in-chief in exhausting all measures of diplomacy, having the courage to meet with adversaries, dictators, allies, and partners alike in the pursuit of peace, seeing war as a last resort. The truth is, as we head towards our decision as a country in November, the same cannot be said about Kamala Harris. In fact, the opposite is true, and we're living through this reality today as this administration has us facing multiple wars on multiple fronts and regions around the world, and closer to the brink of nuclear war than we ever have been before.
That was former Representative Tulsi Gabbard formally endorsing President Donald Trump yesterday. Gabbard, a decorated military veteran, made the surprise announcement during Trump's appearance at a National Guard conference in Detroit, Michigan, hours after the 45th president attended a ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery with families of some of the 13 service members who perished during the botched Afghanistan withdrawal 3 years ago. Trump praised Ms. Gabbard, who's 43 years old, a former member of the U.S. House of Representatives, and a former presidential candidate herself. Not for very long, but toyed with the idea of pursuing her own shot at the White House. Trump said she's a very special person. She's got great common sense, great spirit. She loves our country, and she loves the people in this room. The former Congresswoman unsuccessfully sought the Democrat nomination for president back in 2020 and has been out of politics since then. Gabbard said, "I'm proud to stand here before you today, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or an independent. If you love our country as I do, if you cherish peace and freedom as we do, I invite you to join me in my support of President Donald Trump." Trump has asked Gabbard to help him out on the campaign trail. He's asked her to also help with his prep for the September 10th debate against Harris. And by the way, speaking of the debate, and we'll have more details for you soon, but for those of you who live in upstate South Carolina, we're going to have a debate watch party on the radio station that I'm heard locally on there each weekday at starting at 5 a.m. So just kind of pay attention, and we'll be giving you those details pretty soon, because if you're in upstate South Carolina, or at least driving distance to upstate South Carolina, I would welcome you to join us. It's going to be at Willie Tacos, which is in downtown Greenville off of Lawrence Road. We had a debate watch party there back during the primaries. Now, one of the reasons that it's kind of significant that Ms. Gabbard will be helping Trump prepare for this debate, you may recall back in 2019 during the Democrat primary forum, in that debate, Gabbard launched a blistering attack on Kamala Harris, on the future vice president, as the Attorney General of California. Gabbard said at the July 31st, 2019 showdown, it too was held in Detroit. She said Senator Harris says that she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president. But I'm deeply concerned about this record, she said. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. Now, you may recall these moments. The takedown was widely credited with most likely sinking Kamala Harris's popularity among the soft-on-crime lefties that she was trying to get convinced to vote for her that year, and contributing to her withdrawal before a single primary vote was ever even cast. Yesterday, Gabbard said that Trump understands the grave responsibility that the president and commander-in-chief bears for every single one of our lives. She said, whether you're a soldier, you're an airman, a Marine sailor, or a coastie, he keeps us in his heart. And he does. He has shown tremendous support for our military. Meanwhile, President Trump promised that if he were to retake the Oval Office, that he will demand on day one the resignation of every single official responsible for the Afghanistan calamity.
The voters are going to fire Kamala and Joe on November 5th, we hope. And when I take office, we'll ask for the resignations of every single official. We'll get the resignations of every single senior official who touched the Afghanistan calamity to be on my desk at noon on Inauguration Day. You know, you have to fire people. You have to fire people when they do a bad job. We never fire anybody. You got to fire them. Like on The Apprentice, you fired, you did a lousy job. You did a terrible, terrible disservice to our country. You get fired when that happens. Nobody got fired. Nobody ever gets fired in this administration. It's amazing. All the bad things that have happened, nobody ever gets fired. The problem is when you fire somebody, they always end up writing a book about you, you know. I've had more books written about me. I fire a lot of people when they don't do a good job. I get a book written about me by all these losers that get fired.
And, you know, he's right. It does seem like that quite often the poorer job you do as a federal employee, the higher you go in the bureaucracy. Yesterday, of course, 3 years since the August 26, 2021 suicide bombing at the Karzai International Airport. It killed 13 American service members and more than 100 Afghans. Islamic State terrorists claimed responsibility for the attack. Roughly 4 months before the tragic terror attack, Vice President Kamala Harris talked about her role during a CNN interview in which she confirmed that she was the last person in the room before Joe Biden made the decision to pull U.S. troops out of Afghanistan.
Just made a really big decision. Afghanistan.
Yes.
Were you the last person in the room? Yes. And you feel comfortable?
I do. And I'm going to add to that. This is a president who has an extraordinary amount of courage.
Now, that exchange was between CNN anchor Dana Bash and the vice president, of course. She was talking about being in the room with Joe Biden as he made this deadly decision to pull U.S. troops out of Afghanistan. This video is making the rounds on social media now, 3 years later, now that she is proudly proclaiming the major role that she played in the Biden administration, and just most recently responding to the question, were you the last person in the room? She's very proud of that fact, very proud of the fact that she played a role in that. Last month, President Biden faced criticism from Gold Star families after falsely claiming during the CNN presidential debate that he's the only president this century, this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world. Well, we all know that was not the case. That's another one of his fabrications. Your comments are welcome on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line, 71307. Emails, joey@joeyhudson.com. PhD Weight Loss wants you to know, yes, you can. You can get back to your ideal healthy weight. Yes, you can get back into sizes you thought you'd never see again. And yes, you can get rid of that harmful belly fat, all without becoming dependent on medication loaded with side effects. Hi, it's Joey Hudson here. PhD Weight Loss encourages and equips you to lose weight the healthy, natural way and keep it all for the rest of your life. Dr. Ashley Lucas, a licensed registered nutritionist, developed a solid plan that works. Trust me, I lost 30 pounds. You see, PhD Weight Loss removes the guesswork. They literally tell you exactly what to eat each day while you watch the pounds melt away. But they also teach you to think about food differently and to learn to anticipate and navigate situations that make you want to indulge. PhD coaches will teach you to believe finally that yes, you can do it. With no gimmicks or lifelong medications, finally lose the weight and keep it off. Yes, you can. Call today. PhD Weight Loss, 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. Sometimes when I stumble across these stories, quite often one of you sends them to me. And by the way, I welcome your comments. I welcome the story ideas that you send me. These little, quite often stories that we wouldn't see otherwise. Just email them directly to me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Text them to me as well. This one, you're probably going to say, nah, he's making that up. No way that in our country, in the United States of America, that this could possibly happen. Although some of you probably think that, and when you hear the story, you'll think, yeah, well, that probably is our country under the present administration. So, we have been hearing Kamala Harris over the past few weeks, once it was evident she was going to be the Democrat presidential nominee. She's been grasping for issues that she could try to use to convince the American people to vote for her. She immediately latched on to Donald Trump's idea of no taxes on tips. Trump had been promoting that for weeks when she came forward and said, you know what, I think it's probably a pretty good idea that we don't tax service workers on tips. Now, this is the same lady who was very instrumental in the Biden administration hiring a record number of additional IRS agents at our expense, billions of dollars, to go after the very people that she now is saying, well, I'm not going to tax you. They're targeting. The Biden IRS is targeting people who make tips. And they're spending millions and millions of dollars to do so. It's just how she thinks, or maybe how she doesn't think. This is the lady who talked about, well, we need to help first-time home buyers. So how do we help them? Let's just give them $25,000. Let's give every first-time home buyer $25,000, as if that's not going to fuel additional inflation. That's not going to keep interest rates at record numbers, and that's why a lot of these first-time home buyers can't buy a home to begin with, because they can't afford the interest rate that her administration, the Biden/Harris administration, is responsible for. So you think, well, how much more absurd could government get? Well, I think this will take the cake. I think this wins the award. Lawmakers in California, that probably doesn't surprise you, that is in California, could soon make the Golden State the first in the country to make undocumented immigrants eligible for up to $150,000 in state-supported home loans. Now, first off, they shouldn't even be allowed to buy a home if they're here illegally. They should not be allowed to buy a home. But certainly, a state should not be giving them money to buy a home, or I guess in California, $150,000 probably not going to buy you a house. Prices are so crazy out there. So here's the story. The Democrat supermajority in the California state legislature is said to be most likely ready to pass a measure this week that would make undocumented immigrants eligible for the California Dream for All Act. It's a loan program, a state-funded program that provides 20% in down payment assistance up to $150,000, according to a report for Politico. Now, why would any taxpayer in California want to do this? Why is there not rebellion in California? The people who are footing the bill aren't coming forward, aren't descending upon the state capitol and saying, you're not spending my money like that. According to Politico, the participants in the program must be first-time home buyers, and at least one must be a first-generation home buyer, while income levels must be below certain limits depending on the county where they live at the current time. The measure comes, of course, amid the backdrop of this Republican-Democrat debate on how do we help people. Look, granted, there is a housing shortage. We do need to come up with ways to try to encourage more people to buy a home and come up with ways to make it affordable. But giving people free money doesn't do that. It never has, never will. The immigration, of course, is center stage in the presidential primary, one of the top issues. As you can imagine, as soon as the Trump campaign got wind of this, they're trying to tie Vice President Kamala Harris, since she's from California, and the Biden administration and their border policies, or lack of, that are proven so unpopular with voters. They're trying to tie them to this program. California Governor Gavin Newsom, who's been one of President Biden's and now Harris's top surrogates on the campaign trail, has not said whether he will sign the bill into law if it clears the legislature. It has a August 31st deadline. Reached for comment by Fox News, a spokesperson for Governor Newsom said the governor doesn't typically comment on pending legislation. Says if the bill reaches his desk, the governor will evaluate it on its merits. Meanwhile, the Trump campaign spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, told Politico the bill is fundamentally unfair but typical Democrat policy. She's right on that. Democrat lawmakers in the state of California have defended the legislation, arguing that it simply is designed to give undocumented state residents the same benefits afforded to everyone else in the state. Well, why do they deserve that? Why does an undocumented deserve the same program that state citizens who are paying taxes, who are working and living there legally? Why should they get the same rights? You see, that's the problem with our government at all levels. We've gotten so caught up in, well, we got to be fair. We can't discriminate against them. We got to give them the same benefits that everybody else gets. No. We don't. We don't have to give them the same benefits. Democrat Assembly member Joaquin Arambula, who authored the bill, has argued that it still requires applicants to meet federal requirements, including needing a taxpayer identification or social security number to apply for a loan. Well, that's no big hurdle for them to overcome. Does he not understand that quite often they get fake social security accounts? Again, I don't know why anyone in California would support this. Hope you'll join the conversation today. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Send your comments to the Firmin Ford text line. You can leave a quick voice message, and your emails are always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Whether you're replacing a broken appliance or maybe you're just upgrading, you're totally remodeling the kitchen, when it's time to get those new appliances, when you're ready for them, you don't want to have to wait weeks or even months to get started using them, right? Well, that's not the case when you shop with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. With over 11,000 square feet and 1,500 appliances at any given time, you can buy today and use today quite often. I'm talking about shopping with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens. It's worth the short drive over to Pickens. Jeff, Johnny, Kyle, the whole team over there, they'll take good care of you. They have an award-winning service department, expert installation, extended warranties, and at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they treat you like family. You're more than just a credit card swipe to all the team over there. Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with manufacturer's warranties that cover parts and labor. You owe it to yourself, if you're looking for a new appliance, to head over to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. 2024 will most likely break all records on political spending. So where is all of this money coming from? The Washington Post analyzed all contributions to federal political committees starting back on January the 1st, 2023. These, of course, are all the ones that were reported to the Federal Election Commission as of August 20th of this year, just last week. Direct independent expenditures and loans are not included, according to the Washington Post. Donations made by federal political action committees are also not part of the list of top donors either. And when you read about some of the money or the massive amount of money that's being spent, it's just mind-boggling to think that people are willing to spend this, to give this money, and candidates spend this kind of money to get elected to a public office. The Washington Post did a great analysis of the 50 biggest donors this cycle who have collectively pumped $1.5 billion, $1.5 billion with a B, into political committees and other groups competing in the election this year already. And we're not even in the thick of things yet. The Washington Post, again, analyzed data from the Federal Election Commission. This is all public information. Anybody can look at it. They just happen to have the resources, the people to scan through this, where you and I don't. You and I don't have the time to do this. The vast majority of the money from top donors has gone to super PACs, which can accept unlimited sums of money from individuals, whereas each candidate, if you're giving to a candidate, depending on the office, you have some maximums that you can give, that you and your wife, your spouse, can give. Quite often, you have these PACs working, of course, to support a particular candidate. They can't be working closely with a candidate. They can't coordinate, but they certainly can, for example, buy negative TV spots or radio spots or digital opposing a candidate running against someone that they're friendly with. And it's really how you get around the spending limitations. It's an end around of the federal election rules. But guess what? The men and women serving in the U.S. Congress, whether it's the U.S. House or the U.S. Senate, they're not going to change it. They don't want to change it because they need those dollars. Oh, they'll go out on the campaign trail and rail against it. They'll speak very loudly, talking about how something's got to be done. We got to go in and revamp federal election spending. and how that's done. But nobody's going to do it because they need the money to keep their jobs. And I get back to my first statement. Did you ever think you'd see this amount of money spent for an elected position, for a public service position? So let's talk about some of these billionaire and donors. Who are they? They're investors. They're shipping magnates. According to the Washington Post, they kind of skew towards Republicans, though quite often they affiliate with both parties depending on their type of business. Timothy Mellon is a Republican. He is a railroad magnate and an heir to his family business. He has made a total of $165 million in donations so far, and he's probably not finished. Have you ever thought about what someone like a Timothy Mellon expects in return? What he expects to get for his $165 million? That's a lot of money. He has his biggest donation was $125 million to Make America Great Again, Incorporated, which supports Donald Trump's presidential campaign and supports Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s presidential campaign. He's also donated $10 million to the Congressional Leadership Fund, which supports Republican House candidates. Kenneth Griffin, ever heard of that name? He's a hedge fund manager. He has donated $75.7 million so far. Some of his top donations, the Congressional Leadership Fund, where he sent $15 million. He also supports the Senate campaign for Republican Larry Hogan in Maryland. Jeff and Janine Yass, they too are Republicans. Their total contribution, $73.9 million, with Club for Growth getting $20.5 million. Protect Freedom Political Action Committee getting $14 million. This is a conservative PAC funded primarily by the Yass Company. The Congressional Leadership Fund received $10 million from the Yass family. According to the Washington Post, Jeff is co-founder of the Pennsylvania-based investment company Susquehanna International Group. His wife, Janine, founded a charter school and is an advocate for school choice. Richard and Elizabeth Yulheim, they too are shipping magnates and Republicans. Donated a total of $70.7 million so far. Top donations, Club for Growth. Club for Growth has received the bulk of these contributors, of these large donors. They received $14 million. Make America Great Again got $10 million of that money. Michael Bloomberg, a Democrat, former mayor of New York City, has given $41 million total. He supports Kamala Harris's presidential campaign, supports Democrat House candidates. The Everytown Demand a Seat PAC has received $7 million, which supports pro-gun control candidates. Of course, Bloomberg is the co-founder of the financial software and media company that's named after him. He served as mayor of New York for 3 terms and ran for president in 2020. Paul Singer is a Republican. He's a hedge fund manager, activist investor. He has donated a total of $40.9 million to be exact. $12.5 million went to the Congressional Leadership Fund. $12 million to the Senate Leadership Fund. He supported Nikki Haley's presidential campaign. Wonder if he'd like to get that investment back. Robert Bigelow, he is a hotel magnate. He has donated $35 million. Make America Great Again got $14.2 million from him. He supports President Trump in a lot of different ways. He is a Las Vegas-based businessman, owns Budget Suites of America. He was initially the largest individual donor to a super PAC supporting the presidential bid of Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida. Ultimately, he has decided to back Donald Trump. Richard Hoffman and Michelle Yee are Democrats. They're a founder of a tech company and philanthropist. Total donation so far, $31.6 million. They support Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. They support a left-leaning super PAC, One for All committee. Hoffman is the co-founder of LinkedIn and a prolific Silicon Valley investor. That's where he's made his millions. And again, they're major philanthropists giving money to good causes other than their political, which given to Democrats, they're throwing their money away. Fred Eichenjaner, he's a Democrat too. He's a media executive. He's given $26.4 million, and the list goes on. I mean, again, when you get into this type of money, how much money do you have to give $50, $60, $70 million to a campaign, knowing you'll never get it back? You'll never get a return on it other than maybe some favor if, in fact, your candidate wins. Now, these are individuals that I've mentioned so far. There are, of course, other organizations who've also contributed millions. For example, the Defend American Jobs PAC. It's a pro-crypto super PAC that supports primarily Republicans. They've given $1.5 million to presidential campaigns. The Empower Parents PAC, also Republican, they have made a total of $82.5 million in states where they think they can have an impact on education. Never Back Down. You've heard of that one. This is the super PAC that supported Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign. They ended up donating $82.5 million. And the list goes on there, too. Of course, the George Soros-linked nonprofit, Fund for Policy Reform Democrat, has donated $60 million just from that one organization. It is rumored that he has multiple organizations where he's continuing to funnel millions of other dollars. Again, I asked my original question, love to get your comments. Who can give $50, $60, $100 million to a political campaign? And should it be allowed? Hope you'll join the conversation today. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Send your comments to the Firmin Ford text line. You can leave a quick voice message, and your emails are always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. Glad to have you join me on this beautiful Tuesday. For those of you who live in upstate South Carolina, my hometown area, you may be aware of our very own local boy who's done well. Quite honestly, I was not familiar. I knew of a podcast that he had done, but wasn't aware of just how big he had become on the Netflix series Tex-Mex Motors. I'm talking about Rob Rabbit Pitts, who I just learned yesterday lived in Seneca, South Carolina. The reality world was buzzing yesterday about the sad news of Rob Rabbit Pitts' untimely death as a result of stomach cancer. And this is when I started kind of digging in. Again, I was vaguely aware because I remember he did an audio podcast about cars, restoring antique cars, that type of thing. But I was not familiar with his Netflix series that evidently started about 2 years ago. He, on Sunday, posted a story that was titled The Final Video. This is goodbye. Rest in peace. Evidently, he learned, and his fans were not aware of this, but he learned back earlier in the year that he had stomach cancer. His videographer, just identified as Jeff, confirmed the news of his death in the comment section after posting this video. And the story is that he knew, of course, that he would not survive this. So he made this video with instructions for it to be posted upon his death. And that's exactly what his friend and, I guess, co-producer of this Netflix series did for him. Jeff posted, "I'm with him now in hospice. He just passed away." This was 21:45 on August the 25th. He said, "I will be sure to preserve the channel. He'll be missed, and we'll never forget him." His video that was posted was 4 minutes long. He addressed his followers, who said, "I guess you've been wondering what I've been up to." And he went on to detail his journey since learning that he had cancer. He said, "I started feeling kind of off after a Las Vegas car show." He said, "I was losing weight, but I was getting ready to film season 2 of Tex-Mex Motors for Netflix and wanted to be camera ready." So he said, "I really didn't mind that much." He said that there were times that he had lost his appetite and more acid reflux type symptoms, and he just attributed it to that. He said at the urging of his castmate and a person he called his set mom, he went for treatment at an emergency room. And then at the end of March, he said he was diagnosed with stomach cancer. He said, "Since then, I've been getting treatments at home, and it's been rough. More bad days than good, but hanging in there. I have a lot to live for, and life has been going my way. Don't be sad for me. I accomplished my dream of buying my own store, finishing season 2 of Netflix, and marrying the love of my life." He teased fans that his wife doesn't mind doing long-term things with a short-term guy, before urging viewers to ask questions and get answers if your body is telling you something is wrong. And that is good advice. You know, you learn about a death like this, a loss, and, I'm just sorry that I didn't know the guy. Didn't have the opportunity to get to know him. And evidently, he touched a lot of lives over the years through his podcast, through radio, and most recently through this Netflix series. And he has a huge following on YouTube. So God bless the family, and prayers for this man, the people that he left behind, and the people who were part of this Netflix series. I'm going to have to watch it now. But God bless him. Rob Rabbit Pitts, 45 years old, died way too soon. Let me take a minute to talk with you about my friends at McCravey, Newland, Sturkey, and Clardy Law Firm. I've known these guys for years, so take my advice. If you or someone that you love is injured in a car accident, a workplace injury, slip and fall, medical malpractice, or maybe wrongful death, you need the unmatched representation of McCravey, Newland, Sturkey, and Clardy Law Firm. When you need help, you need an attorney who knows South Carolina law and an attorney who knows how to get results. And that's exactly what you get when you hire either John McCravey, John Newland, Jason Sturkey, or Timothy Clardy, when you have them on your team. Schedule your free and confidential case evaluation today at McCravyLaw.com. You can call them as well, 833-245-6565, 833-245-6565. If you're looking for an attorney with a proven track record of settling and trying cases in South Carolina, let me recommend McCravy, Newland, Sturkey, and Clardy Law Firm. Again, decades of service and experience, thousands of satisfied customers, a friendly staff, and a location that's convenient for you. McCravyLaw.com or call 833-245-6565. Current polls actually should give Harris backers reason to worry about the chances, according to a very prominent Democrat strategist. The stories from Politico, Democrat strategist Julian Epstein says that if polling errors are anywhere close to what they were in 2016 and 2020, then Trump is in the lead right now. The comments come as the Real Clear Politics polling average shows Harris with a slim 1.5% point lead over former President Donald Trump. This is a significant shift from the 3-point lead Trump held over Biden the day before the president dropped out of the race and things were shook up and trying to get everybody's trying to get their head wrapped around exactly who's running. The Harris lead, though, is also a much smaller gap than Trump faced at the same time in 2016 and 2020, according to Ms. Epstein, when the Republican nominee was trailing former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton by 6 points and Biden by 7.1 percentage points at the same time in those respective years. Of course, Trump won in 2016 in an upset victory. Hillary Clinton didn't see it coming. She didn't think it was even possible to lose to Donald Trump. Of course, it didn't work out quite the same in 2020 with COVID and all the shenanigans that went on at the election booth. According to a report from Politico last week, recent polls conducted by Democrat firms that show Harris in the lead also contain warning signs, including leads for Trump in characteristics more likely to sway voters. Harris is also essentially tied with Trump across some of the battleground states, according to these polls, meaning that the vice president is underperforming her national numbers in states set to decide the election. And those are the ones that you have to watch. Those are the important ones. Every state's important. Every vote's important. But with the Electoral College, some are more important than others in a year like this year. Margie O'Mara is a partner at the Democrat polling firm GBAO Strategies, said it's still a very tough race, and that feels consistent with everything we know. Nick Gervovich, a partner at Global Strategy Group, also said, I spent a ton of time in analysis trying to dig into those problems, and I feel much better educated about those problems. He said, I don't think there's any pollster in America who can sit here and say that they're 100% sure that they've fixed any issues in polling. I think that would be silly. Now, he's talking, of course, about how badly the polls got it in 2016 and again in 2020. You and I know about polls, don't we? That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Just click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, find me on YouTube. Be sure and like, subscribe, follow me on my YouTube channel. Just search for Joey Hudson. Appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with me. Be sure and forward this edition of Just the Truth to some friends. Just click on the share button. Send it to a few of your contacts, because if we're going to build our community and if we're going to win in November, we got to build an army of conservatives. The way we beat Joe Biden is through educating people, and no better way than encouraging them to listen to Just the Truth. Hey, keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your emails always welcome as well. Joey@joeyhudson.com. Don't forget to take advantage of the MyPillow special, $25 for the My Towels 6-piece towel set when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. We're back again tomorrow. Hope you will be too. Remember, God's got this. He's still in control.